We have the one and the only, the legend, Bill O'Reilly. Hello, Mr. O'Reilly. How are you, sir?
I think you and Stu should form a social justice committee off the Glenn Beck program.
Well,
because I know you guys, when you're talking to me, I know you're kneeling.
Taking a knee in protest of Bill O'Reilly.
So Bill, let's talk a little bit. First of all, your thoughts on the NFL that we just talked about.
Well, I play college football, and I'm a football fan, unlike you, Beck, who just doesn't even know a first down from a pretzel.
I do, because food is involved.
Oh, that's correct. That's right. Anyway, I, from the very beginning, have said, look, you work for somebody, you, the players. You're alienating people paying money to see you because they don't want the flag and the anthem disrespected. Certainly there are other forums that you can use to get your point across, whatever it may be. So, anybody working, this is with the crux of the matter, any working American knows they can't walk into their company or their business with an armband on that may offend half the customers in the store.
I think if you're talking about the same armband, I think it would be more than half of the customers.
Well, you could have an armband that says, I like Glenn Beck, and people would run for the exits.
All right. Okay. All right. Sure.
So everybody knows that, and they're saying, well, if I can't do it, and why are these people offending me when I'm sitting here in 12-degree weather paying $500 for my ticket and $30 for my beer? So it's really a matter of decorum and appropriate venue. I don't want to use big words for Stu, but that's really what it's about.
Venue's only 5 letters. What do you mean a big word?
Okay, so Bill, let's switch gears. The president, the New York Times said that the president considered firing Robert Mueller last June and was talked out of it by his staff. He was quite adamant, according to the report. His staff said, Mr. President, you can't do that, and if you do, we'll quit. And he decided not to do that. So a couple of questions. Fox News has now verified this. So you have more than just the New York Times saying it. You do have Fox News saying it. The question is, do you believe it? And more importantly, does it matter?
I'm shocked. There is gambling going on in this establishment. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Every human being on earth knows that Donald Trump is furious about this allegation of Russian collusion. Everyone knows that. And people like me who've known the man for 30 years well understand that the president gets in dark moods. When he gets into dark moods, he lashes out. So this story I'm reading, I'm going, what is surprising about this?
Well,
nothing.
Okay, so I agree with you so far. It is
because now you're following me. I like it.
It is in his character to do that.
Of course.
And it's usually not in his character not to follow through. So it shows growth there.
Not so fast. This was reported back last summer, and his whole staff looked at him. You know, he came in and said, I gotta get rid of that Mueller. He's a pain, look at him. He quit my golf club because my fees were too high. He's got to go. And they're looking at him and going, do you have any blanket idea what's going to happen to you and this administration if you fire Robert Mueller?
Sure.
You can't do it. And so then what happens is that Trump goes, I'm going to do it anyway. And then a half hour later, they're on to something else, and Trump forgets about it.
Okay.
That's who the man is.
Right. And there's
who he is. That's how he's conducted his life. So I read the story, and I go, yeah, it's true. And I'll tell you where it came from. It came from Steve Bannon. All right? because Steve Bannon doesn't like Trump, got fired, not doing well, and he's going to feed the New York Times and everybody else who hates Trump all kinds of stuff. But the timing of it is perfect. As I write on BillO'Reilly.com today, and I want everybody to go there and read my message of the day, the timing of it was to divert attention away from the unbelievable FBI situation.
Okay, wait. Before we get into that, I have to wrap this up. There's two things here that in this New York Times story that I do not find surprising. I was not shocked that Donald Trump went in and said, I want to fire this guy. And
nobody was surprised.
Nobody's surprised.
Claude Rains, who's been dead for 40 years, was not
okay,
surprised.
so here's the other revelation in this that, again, is not surprising to me. That the White House doesn't tell the truth all the time.
What White House ever tells the truth? In the history of this republic, if stuff is going to make you look bad, I go, I didn't do it. Look, it's just a matter of parsing words. You know, did you actually say the word fire? No, I never said that word. Well, they will deny it. You know, come on. Everybody knows politicians, you know, what they do and all of that. But I think the story is essentially correct. But it's not an important story. It'll be gone by Monday. But it was dropped to take attention away from the FBI story.
Okay. If you listen to the mainstream press, which I don't, but I get updates on it. If you listen to the mainstream press, they are obsessed with the FBI investigation. And they are also obsessed by pointing out that people like you and me are saying, well, hang on here just a second. What is the real charge? What is really going on? Some of this could be nonsense, and I want to know what's happening inside the FBI. I want to know open this up and let the chips fall where they may. The media doesn't like that.
You got to start with John Mellencamp. A little ditty about Jack and Diane, and you change the words to a little ditty about Peter and Lisa.
Oh.
Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, two high-ranking FBI officials assigned to the Hillary Clinton email investigation and then transferred over to the Russian collusion investigation. These people were having an affair, all right, and they were texting like mad people back and forth, saying bad things about Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, not so much, but, you know, a few, and everybody else. They were trashing them, all right? However, they were basically putting forth that the Hillary Clinton email investigation was over before they even investigated. They knew that they weren't going to charge Secretary Clinton with anything before she was even interviewed or anything was even written. That's huge, because Strzok was second in command in that investigation. Fast forward over to Mueller. He hires Strzok, all right? Strzok goes on in, and he's saying that Trump is an idiot. We got to get rid of him. He can't get elected. And then after he's elected, he said, we got to do something about it. That's huge. This is enormous.
So how
because you got to think that Mueller and Comey, the FBI chief at the time, knew their investigators hated him, hated Trump, and were in the tank for Hillary. Got to assume it.
What do you say to the Republicans who say, look, even Strzok said there's no there, but what he actually said was, I don't want to be a part of this Trump investigation in a text. I don't want to be a part of this because I don't think there's any there.
Well, I don't even care about that because the investigation should proceed. As an American, I want to know if the Russians did anything. And I want to know if the Trump campaign did anything. So I don't care what Peter Strzok thinks.
But doesn't Peter Strzok saying, I don't think there's any there, show that he's
opinion.
not like, I know that, but it does show that he's not like, yes, give me any opportunity to destroy this guy.
No, but it does indicate that this whole thing is a fabrication. All right? So he's not saying, I want Trump to get a pass on it or Trump is innocent.
Correct.
He's not saying that. He's just saying, I don't really want to get involved with this because, you know, there's nothing really for me to do because it didn't happen. But he made it clear in his texts, which Beck disappeared on Monday, but on Tuesday, we found him.
I know.
We found him.
I know.
Yay!
Bill O'Reilly from BillO'Reilly.com. We continue in a minute.
Glenn Beck.
The president is surrounded by his foes in Davos this week. It's just humorous to have people be talking about secret societies and then have the president meeting with the people in Davos at the same time. How's he doing in Davos, Bill?
It's a dog and pony show. It's the one real big thing President Trump has going for him is the economy. And so he's taking a victory lap over there saying, look, we're back. America's an economic force. You guys should buy into it, invest in the USA. My tax reform has stimulated economies. You should do the same thing. So, this is something that helps him and the people who want to make money in the world. They're on his side. And the good thing about Switzerland for Trump is that the Swiss. Have you been to Switzerland, Beck?
No, I don't get to the bunny slopes in Switzerland.
You don't yodel?
No, I'm not. I'm not Bill O'Reilly.
Yeah, I know. I've been to every canton in Switzerland. Protesters can't get near you. Number one, the Swiss don't abide that. And number two, it's just very, very hard to get anywhere because there's mountain roads that can be easily policed. So Trump's going to have to deal with all the insane people he's going to have to deal with when he goes to London. So for Trump, it's a good exercise, and he's promoting the American economy, which is good right now.
Right, but he's not really. It's not the people of the streets that would be concerning for him. He's there with all the the big business and the globalists and everything else who probably don't agree with him and many of the American people.
Lederhosen. No.
Yes.
Yes. He's not in the cafe.
Correct.
Yodeling with the folks. No.
Correct. Tell me, do you believe that Donald Trump is going to testify under oath?
It would be foolish for him to do that. So I don't believe he will do it. And here's why. Trump and his lawyers don't know what Robert Mueller has. They don't know. Okay? And human beings have imperfect memories. So Mueller has accusations. You got to figure that he has accusations. Now, has he been able to prove the accusations? I don't know. You don't know. Trump doesn't know. So when he goes in for an interview, Mueller could drop anything on him. Anything. On May 3rd, did you do this? Did you do? Now you figure his lawyers will go, come on. I mean, we can't remember. We got to go look or this and that. But there's too much that is unknown for any human being, not just Donald Trump, to go in, talk to a special counsel who's been investigating for a year, who may have emails and texts, and you don't know what he has. So the logical way to do it is in writing form. Submit your questions. We'll go over the questions, and we'll, under oath in an affidavit, answer them.
They didn't.
So therefore, you can research your own. You don't have to get, in a trap or anything like that.
Well, Ken Starr didn't allow that for Bill Clinton, and while it didn't take Bill Clinton down, it did lead to impeachment hearings because
sure,
of.
But I think Mueller would allow that here. It's a different situation. So
in what way? In what way?
Bill Clinton was accused personally. Donald Trump has not been. That's what makes the difference of it. So Donald Trump says, well, I didn't do anything. I didn't collude. And nobody's saying he did. Right now, it looks like, and there's a lot of leaks coming out of the Mueller thing, which disturbs me as an American, that they're going for an obstruction of justice, that Trump didn't want an investigation, so therefore he fired Comey or whatever. It doesn't look like there's anything. So that's the difference. Whereas Clinton,
he was the only one that really knew.
Yeah, and it was the charges were personal against him.
Okay. Back in just a second with Bill O'Reilly from BillO'Reilly.com.
Glenn Beck. Mercury. This is the Glenn Beck Program.
We're with Bill O'Reilly from BillO'Reilly.com and his book Killing England, bestseller in the country. And Bill, welcome. The president has been battling with the Democrats, obviously, over DACA. The Democrats want a path now to citizenship and the eventual right to vote. President Trump said yesterday, quote, he is not adverse to that possibility as long as he gets the border wall and other conditions met. Now, this is something I think that's how most Americans feel. That's the way I have felt. It's certainly not the position that, talk radio took or the conservatives took. And I think that's mainly because, when John McCain said it, we didn't believe him. When Rubio said it, we didn't believe him because of the Gang of Eight. We thought the Democrats are just going to say that and then not do it. What does Donald Trump have to do to make sure that we get security first and then DACA?
Well, first of all, in the break when the music comes back, and you start to talk again,
yes,
I feel like I'm in a spa.
That's good. You'd be a little. Are you relaxed?
Relaxed.
Yeah, good.
I'm glad you brought this up, Bill, because I think America has noticed you seem to be a tad fired up today. Maybe a little relaxation would be a good maneuver.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, right now after that music, let me get back into fighting mode.
I'm gonna you talk. I'm gonna put some more water on the rocks.
Yeah, and I just lit some incense as well.
All right.
Okay, so the DACA thing is. It's going to happen, I believe, because it should happen. And there are fringe players on the left and the right that always are problems. And I'm talking to your audience now directly. Don't be fringe. Just step back. This is a country that should promote compassion, America. Yes, we have the biggest military. We protect people. We're tough guys when we have to be. But, the heart and the essence, if you read Killing England and you look at George Washington and Thomas Jefferson and Benjamin Franklin, be compassionate. So you get kids who are dragged here by their parents, and they're here for 2 decades. And they've been educated and they have a good job and they're good citizens, and you want to toss them? No. So that's where you start. We'll find a way so they can stay here. But in order to do that, you have to prevent this situation from ever happening again. So therefore, you have to build somewhat of a wall. And you have to have a system whereby there's no chain migration. That means that if you're allowed to come to the United States, you can't bring 40 people with you to party, okay? You can bring, your spouse and your mom and your dad, okay, but that's it. So there has to be a logic and a fairness brought to the situation, and I think it's going to happen, but you're dealing with people who really don't care about other people. I'm talking about the politicians. They're party apparatchiks.
Okay, so let's go back to the original question. I had Duncan Hunter on, senior, this when I was at CNN. And it was a hysterical conversation because Duncan was trying to convince me, who I had a lot of respect for, and actually did get the wall built in San Diego, which makes a difference.
Yeah.
He said to me, no, Glenn, we just passed the legislation. And he said over and over again, it says in the legislation that the government shall build. So that means they have to or they break the law. And I said, Duncan, they don't care.
No,
he said, no, it's in writing now. It shall be. It's passed by Congress, signed by the president, yada, 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 yada. We still don't have a wall. So what is that? What is it that will that the president needs to do and demand to make sure that wall is actually done?
Well, he's got the fund. He wants the money. As soon as he gets the money, then he orders it built. So it's pretty simple. but he's got to lay it out to the American people that A leads to B, leads to C, leads to D in a very, very clear way, so that, we're fair, we're compassionate, but we're going to protect ourselves because we can't have this chaos go on and on and on and on. Look, it's a matter of selling it. And, can Trump do it? I don't know, but I could. You could. Stu even could. So you got to sell it. But we go back to the compassionate country. I think this is what we should be.
I don't think people – I really don't think, except for a very small handful of people, I don't think people have a problem with this if the border is secure. I just don't.
And the chain migration stops.
Yes.
All right?
All right.
So that you tighten it up.
Okay. Do you remember when Barack Obama did a stimulus package, an infrastructure bill that was almost $1 trillion, and all of us went bananas? $1 trillion on infrastructure, and he was going to build roads and bridges, and it was going to be great, and yada, yada, yada. Donald Trump has proposed this week as much as 1.7. So $1 trillion more than that stimulus package from Barack Obama. $1 trillion more for roads, bridges, and infrastructure. Thoughts?
What happened to the Obama infrastructure improvements? Did you see them?
Well, I
saw
used
a lot of signs.
I saw a lot of signs. Yes, I did see.
I live in New York City, and the whole place is falling apart.
Right.
Okay, I mean the roads, the bridges, everything is right now. They built the Tappan Zee Bridge, a new one. They got some federal funds, but look, this is what these people always do. We're going to spend another $1.7 trillion, and we're going to do X, Y, and Z. And then 10 years later, you're going, well, where is that? So, I mean, that's when it gets really murky. But, yeah, Trump's going to do the infrastructure deal, and we'll probably have a superhighway from the Mexican Wall right up to Minneapolis.
That's called what was that called? The Trans-American Corridor,
right. Yeah.
Something like that?
No, it's going to be called the You Better Not Come Here Highway.
I feel like we went through a last year, Bill, with Trump doing a lot of policy things that I really liked. A lot of the things that he agreed with me on, he acted on, taxes and a lot of his executive policies. He seems to be starting this year, though, with a lot of the opposite, because things like tariffs and things like infrastructure packages. I mean, this thing he did with washing machines, where he put a tariff on washing machines, that's going to cost American people, American workers, money out of their own pockets.
But he doesn't care about the washing machines or the solar panels. I mean, then nobody cares about it. The big thing that he wants to do is create these jobs that would build the roads and the bridges and, make the salaries go up for all the construction people. That's what he's really trying to do here.
But he does believe in tariffs. I mean, the one thing that he was very, very strong on during the campaign and has been consistent his entire life is tariffs. He does believe in that.
He wants to use that as a cudgel, word of the day, cudgel, to get better trade agreements with the offending parties. So you go, we're going to slap this on you unless you give us a better deal. That's how he's always negotiated. That's how he buys his golf courses. So that's what he does. He wants better trade deals, and he uses the tariffs as a threat.
But these tariffs, and he put these on washing machines and solar panels, are just a redistribution of wealth. What we're doing is we're charging people who are buying washing machines an extra $50, $100, and then we are rerouting that money to someone who supposedly works in an American factory. And we've seen the results when these things are tried. It's something like $900,000 per job, which is just not justifiable to me. I don't understand why he's pursuing these policies.
I hate to say this, Stu, but you're much smarter than I am on this issue, so I just can't.
It's a rare moment. We're gonna put this.
I mean, for me, a washing machine, I throw the socks in, I walk away.
This is a moment that has to go into the Museum of Radio History. Humility from Bill O'Reilly. Bill. Let me flip the script on this, going from something that he's doing that, I don't agree with, to Jerusalem and the embassy. Stunning that Mike Pence said, we're going to be in there soon, at least in a temporary embassy. And then he came out and said, by the way, no more aid to Palestine if the Palestinians are not willing to sit down and seriously consider peace with Israel.
Well, that's good, right?
It's unbelievable.
And why should we be sending all this money to the Palestinians and to Pakistan and these other countries when they turn around and they hurt us?
Yeah.
So, look, Trump fashions himself as a tough guy. And, he creates these scenarios. I mean, for most Americans, they don't care whether the embassy is in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. They don't care. But again, there's a method to his madness. He's basically sending a signal that we want cooperation. And if we don't get it, you're not getting any money. And, I think the Jerusalem thing is a good deal, so I'm going to do it. And that's it. I mean, he doesn't really care what other people think, unlike President Obama, for example. I mean, who cared tremendously about what they thought in Bangladesh about what he did.
Or, quite honestly,
know where Bangladesh is.
Quite honestly, or like people like George W. Bush, who claimed to care about those things, but the policies didn't match. I mean,
yeah, but he was, right. I'll agree with that, but Bush had so much on his plate with the terrorism and the chaos. I mean, my God.
Yeah, I get it, but I mean, I'm trying to throw Donald Trump a pretty massive compliment here. That when it comes to many things, but the Middle East in particular, he has wiped out ISIS in under a year. He has moved the embassy, which will be in under 18 months. And he is starting to be tough on the Palestinians and saying, look, you want peace, we'll do peace. If not, we're not funding you because
you don't get any money.
You don't get any money. That's remarkable.
Can I ask you an interesting question?
Yeah.
Real quick?
Yeah.
So Trump goes over to Davos and he meets with the British Prime Minister, Netanyahu, the head of the Swiss Federation, and the president of Rwanda. Those are the four he had private meetings with. Why did he meet with the Rwanda guy?
Can I tell you something? And you're another moment of humility. I've met with the president of Rwanda.
Well, that's why Trump did it.
No. Listen. If there is somebody in the world today that can teach the world what it needs to know, it is the president of Rwanda.
But why do you think he did it? Other than the guy's smart and I said, why? He did it because of the S-hole comment, to show the world that he has respect for a black African nation. That's why he did it.
It's really sad because I was hoping that there was more to it. But thanks for shattering that for me, Bill O'Reilly from BillO'Reilly.com. Anything special going on?
We had probably our best week of analysis, and we've opened it up for everybody this weekend. If you go to BillO'Reilly.com, you'll see how I position the FBI story and the facts that we brought to bear, because you're not going to get that in the mainstream media. You're simply not going to get it. You're not going to get it on cable news. You're not going to get it in newspapers. So we really, really had a real strong week. We're ahead of the story. I think this FBI story is just going to break wide. And there's another dispatch that just came to me that says they went easy on Hillary Clinton because they feared she would win the election and they didn't want a reprisal. This is the FBI.
Right.
So want everybody to go to BillO'Reilly.com, sign up for premium membership. It's worth your while to do it. You listen to Beck in the daytime. You go at night to BillO'Reilly.com, and you got it. You got the story of this country. So there you go.
Thank you, Bill. Have a good weekend.
All right.
Bye-bye.